Our politically incorrect story tonight. Democrats want you to hate America, and their strategy for indoctrinating children was just exposed. In the new book, The War on History, the liberal lies about history are revealed. In order to justify their current political agenda, liberals need you to believe that America is a bad country built on oppression. But this could not be more wrong, and we're going to tell you why. With me now from the Daily Signal, author of this new book, The War on History, Jarrett Stepman. Jarrett, welcome to the show, and congratulations on your new book. This is your release day.
It is. Thank you so much, Liz.
I'm delighted for the American people to get a chance to read this book. I'm also delighted for you because you and your wife, of course, are close friends of mine, and I think this is very exciting. Tell us about your book.
My book is exactly as you portrayed it. It is basically, I start from the beginning and explain why American history is under attack right now, the individuals and the ideas, most importantly, that are under attack by the left, especially the American founding. But really, it's American history, American ideas, what we've been built on this country, what made this country great. I think for many, especially on the far left, they see their collectivist doctrines working in polar opposition to these ideas, which I think is why they need to go back through American history. They need to erase it. They need to change it to fit their goals. And I think that's why Americans today need to stand athwart those changes and need to stand up for American history, the founding fathers, the things that have made this country really what it is, what it was great from the beginning. I think that's incredibly important. That's why I wrote my book.
Right, and I think you ask a question at the beginning of the book, which I think is interesting, and that are the values on which America was built, are they good values? Are we a great nation, or are we the racist, manipulative, oppressive, patriarchal society that the left would have us believe? How do you answer that question in your book?
Yeah, I think that's really a narrative that, especially we saw this from the New York Times recently, that launched the 1619 Project, that said essentially America was founded in slavery in 1619, rather than what I think Americans would say that America was founded in 1776, the idea that all men are created equal, that they have certain unalienable rights. And I think that that is the narrative the left is taking. In some ways, they're taking the extreme negative view of American history because they want us to think that all this country is about is oppressors and oppressed. It flows into their narrative about modern politics. It flows into their utopian ideals that somehow, if they just abolish American history, they abolish American founding ideals, that they can create this kind of brave new world on top of it. And unfortunately, it's going to leave us bereft of history, and I think it's going to leave us a dismal society in which a lot of these institutions, like the Constitution, like the Declaration of Independence, are going to be forgotten and they're going to be broken.
Right, and you take it one step further. You say that not only are our founding principles, which are enshrined in our founding documents, going to be discarded or broken, they're going to be replaced with something that the Democrats want to impose. You talk about what that something is. What is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of them are very clear. They want America to be a socialist country. They want us to embrace their collectivist doctrines. And frankly, the American ideas that have been at the heart of this country have stood in opposition to that. They know that the ideals of Thomas Jefferson, of the founding fathers, stand in opposition to that. That's why they want to sever Americans from these ideas. They know that American cultural mores have been resistant to that. And I think that's why they're so desperate, especially with the younger generations of Americans, not only to make them ignorant of our country's history, but to replace that history with their own ideology, which in many cases is socialism, or many of these isms that unfortunately will be incredibly destructive. If one knows history, have been an incredibly destructive force in this world.
Absolutely. We just got done doing a segment right before you talking about the destruction of communism, the destruction waged by communism in China. The history is rife with these examples. So give us some of the content of your book. Give us some of these historical examples of the revisionist history that you're talking about, things that the Democrats claim was true about the past that you debunk that's not true.
Well, I really start with Christopher Columbus and the discovery of America. I think there's a lot of misinformation, unfortunately, about Christopher Columbus, that he was a genocidal monster. You know, I go through my book and talk about kind of the Howard Zinn history, and Howard Zinn was certainly one of the leftist historians who attacked Columbus. He thought that Columbus ushered in the capitalist new world and things like that. So I defend Christopher Columbus as a great American. Here I am in the District of Columbia. There's a reason why the founders admired this man who was at the heart of the beginning of what it was America, the roots for civilization. I make my way through the Pilgrims, through the Founding Fathers in particular, Thomas Jefferson, under attack at his own school right now. Basically, people call him a pro-slavery. He had slaves, and he was this racist. You know, Thomas Jefferson is the author of the Declaration of Independence. The reason why slavery was abolished in this country is because of men like Thomas Jefferson, brave men in an era in which slavery was ubiquitous, dared to say that all men are created equal, that we have individual rights. That's an incredible thing. So I think these are the kind of figures that are under attack. And across the spectrum that I defend in this book, I go down to the details. I go after the attacks that are made on these men and explain why Americans should still celebrate them as great Americans who contributed to the greatest country on earth.
And let me tell our viewers, as someone who knows Jarrett personally, when he says he gets into the details, believe me, he gets into the details. One of the most detail-oriented people that I know. What do you think, what would you tell our viewers is going to be the biggest surprise or the biggest revelation that they will encounter about history as they go through your journey of seeing what really happened? What's going to surprise them the most?
You know, I think certainly that there's certainly a lot of complexity in history, and I think that I'm going to really dig down into the details, you know, why we should defend all these men that have been attacked. Frankly, previous generations would have thought you ridiculous and absurd for going after Christopher Columbus, or in some cases now Abraham Lincoln or George Washington. You know, I explained how the left has been radicalized and has turned against these individuals that at one time were universally admired, and there was a reason they were universally admired. I think it's going to be very revealing as far as the mentality of the modern left in wanting to go after these figures who were one time universally respected.
Right. It's an absolutely fascinating journey, not something that you will hear from the left, not something your kids will learn in school. So you should know the truth about it. Jarrett, congratulations again on The War on History, and I assume people can buy it from, please tell them.
You can get it on Amazon, you can get it at Barnes & Noble, you can get a hardbound, you can get a digital copy, and you can even get an audiobook.
Well, there you go. Any way you want to read it or listen to it, you got it. Jarrett, thank you so much for being on the show. Congratulations again.